Hello, everyone. Welcome to Elevating Your Life. Thank you for joining me today. I have a fantastic guest to share with you today. Today, we will be chatting with Scott Flynn. He has had an affinity for understanding the inherent properties of human and objective nature, from the inner workings of chemical and biological systems to the physical phenomena of heat, energy, and mass behaviors in material assemblies and structures, to the unitive mindset required to create and operate socially conscious businesses. It wasn't until Scott was introduced to the intimate, innate properties of self via the integration of the natural Eastern Vedic philosophy of Advaita Vedanta with the intelligence of Western quantum physics that love and understanding of the inherent truth of human and objective nature arose. Experiencing inherent truth directly, Scott clearly realized that not only can ever-present happiness be experienced in this lifetime, but it is the preeminent attribute of all 8 billion of us. I love it. Scott is also the author of a fantastic book, Love Outpouring, Experiencing Ever-Present Happiness by Illuminating and Eliminating the Difference Between Who You Are and What You Have Mistaken Yourself to Be. It is a fantastic read. Scott, thank you, and thank you for being here today.
Paula, it is wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Oh, just excited. You talk about so many great things in your book. You really, opened me up to some things I did not, realize or think about. Would you like to share any more of your background before we begin?
I think that mouthful that you led with is plenty.
Oh,
This really isn't about who I was as a person and what I did in my career, so to speak, to get here. It's actually a bit different than that. It's the career, um, the career path that I chose was not working for me. In fact, it led to a lot of suffering and fear and anxiety, which led to this path of enlightenment, this path of self-realization that I ended up writing this book about, and I share with people from around the world.
I love it. I love it. Well, in the book, I know you share a lot about what's called non-duality, also known as Advaita Vedanta. For those that have not heard that term, non-duality, tell us about that, Scott.
Non-duality is the English word for the Indian philosophy of Advaita Vedanta, just like what you mentioned. Advaita literally equates to not two. So non-duality or non-dual and Advaita not two. And then Vedanta is a philosophy. It's a philosophy or a way of being. So Advaita Vedanta or non-duality is a way of oneness, you could say. And in this message, Advaita states that there's only one substance in all of totality. And this one substance is you, yourself. And if you know yourself, then you know all of creation. And in all of this creation is only the presence of peace and beauty and contentment and fulfillment. So it really goes back to the ancient phrase of know thyself. When you know yourself, you know the beautiful qualities that we're so feverishly out in the world trying to find.
Yeah, yeah. And something you share is you talk about getting out of the ego vehicle. What is that, Scott?
Mm, yes. So this is where I say this is what we've mistaken ourselves to be. We've mistaken ourselves to be this person, this individual that is doing this life, that is responsible for this life. Everything that we know in our life comes back to the I. I am a male. I'm an American. I am a cyclist. I am a father, so on and so forth. I own a home. I own bikes. Every single thing that we know in our life comes back to this I. And so in this message, we start to realize that if we turn our attention away from all of these things we know in the world, back onto this I that we believe to be, we will start to see in our own direct experience that this I is non-existent. It's just not here. And what is here? Expansive awareness, yourself, everything that you're looking for is what remains when you realize that there is no individual in here doing this.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty profound. I will let you know that out of the gate. This is a
Yeah.
profound message. Yet, when you allow yourself to start peeking behind the curtains to see if this is has any validity to it, you'll start to see that quantum physicist points to this, psychology points to this, neuroscience points to this, all the great religions point to this. Everything is pointing back to this one of yourself. And so everything I just mentioned starts to add credibility to the message. So it allows you to keep going deeper and deeper and deeper into the message. And eventually you'll get to the point to you realize, oh, I am everything that I'm seeking in life.
I already am that, right?
Yes. Yes. You don't have happiness. You don't have joy. You don't have contentment. You are happiness. You are joy. You are contentment itself. That is your true nature. That is who you are.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, so the book cover, that's what it says. When you illuminate and eliminate, so you're illuminating the by facts that what you are relative to what you are not, and you're eliminating the difference there. Well, you come in line with who you are relative to who you've mistaken yourself to be.
Yeah, yes. You have a quote in the book that I just loved. Don't feel alone. The entire universe is inside you.
Mm,
That-
Rumi.
yeah, yeah, that's a powerful statement.
This is a message of love from yourself to yourself. This is really about learning how to fall back in love with yourself. It's literally the most courageous act any person can do is to realize that they are the love they seek and to fall back in love with that love of themselves. Because you'll see that when you get there, there is no person there. There's only love. There's only unity.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So where does self-realization come into this?
Hmm.
What is that? You talk about that a little bit in your book.
Yes, that's pretty much everything that we're after in this message is realizing that we are the truth and the wholeness that we're seeking out in the world. So self-realization is when you realize that what I just said is the truth, that yourself, capital S, not a small s, when the capital S, self, realizes that it is the truth, is what self-realization is. And again, in that truth is when you experience directly and permanently all of these qualities that we're so all of us are so out in the world trying to gain right now.
And so would you say that's realizing that I don't have to reach for happiness. I don't have to reach for love and, that's already in me. I already am there. I'm there.
You sound like you're a self-realized being. You know the truth. So absolutely. I would say that yes, you end reaching out in the world and you reach back for yourself. It's a reaching at first. You're just not reaching out. You're reaching in. And in that reaching, you realize that, to your point, you don't have to go anywhere to find or gain all of those qualities you just mentioned, that you are those qualities. That is your inherent nature.
And isn't that just, that could be life changing and that can be
Absolutely.
so exciting to realize that is already in us.
Yes.
We just need to, what would you say? Just allow
Remember,
it. Remember. Oh, I like that.
this is all about remembering. If it asks you to do one thing, it's just to remember who you are.
Oh, wow.
Because this isn't, when you start to realize that this isn't it's not a religion, it's not science, it's not spirituality, it's not a thing, it's not a human constructed knowledge system. Because when you ask yourself, am I a human constructed knowledge system? Am I religion? Am I science? No, that doesn't make any sense, because you're not a thing. You're an experience of peace. You're an experience of wholeness and contentment. So yeah, where it gets like profound when you start to know this and experience this as yourself, you realize there's no place out in the world where you can go to find more happiness than you already are.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Nowhere else can you go where you find more happiness.
No, and then
I
you're done.
love.
It's over. You get it. Like I'm like, oh, I
Oh,
am it.
yeah. Oh, that is priceless. That is a profound statement. And that is so true. So, so true. You talk about the ego vehicle, and I've always thought of this body's just my physical vehicle. The energy is, what's inside us. And, it's just going down the path of this lifetime. But
Yeah, you're getting out of the ego vehicle that you're not and into the self vehicle that you are.
yes, yes. Now, Scott, so how would all of this, how does it play into what we manifest in our lives?
So as you come back home and start resting in and as yourself, another way to say that is you come in line with reality as it's manifesting. There is no conflict in life anymore because you're one with the manifestation. So things are, you could say, flowing through. Your life is just happening as this now. And there's no resistance to life anymore. And that's, again, known as peace. When
Yeah.
there's no more resistance within your body and mind to whatever life is presenting itself as at that moment.
So in a way, would you say it's just being at peace and allowing that manifestation to come through?
This is a tad more radical than that because nobody does reality. There isn't a person anymore that does life. Life is just happening, and that's what allows it to flow naturally and organically. It's the ego that gets in the way and muddles things up and clouds things and thinks it can do life better. No, life is perfectly happening as life. There's another quote in the book that says, um, we're all looking for a treasure within life when life itself is the treasure. So stop looking for life and just allow life to happen, regardless of what is happening in your life.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. So, do you have any recommendations or steps someone could take? Someone that's listening right now. Okay, I want to get there. I want to get out of that ego and get into self-realization and openness up. What's first steps would you advise them to take?
There's two overarching steps that appear how this plays out. The first one is, I like to say it's more like a classroom style. You're learning new knowledge that you haven't been privy to anywhere in your life so far. That's the strange thing about this. What we're talking about is a massive body of knowledge that is not presented to us anywhere in the Western Hemisphere, right? So you're allowing this new knowledge to come into your life and you're excited about it, like you've got enthusiasm and you're curious. Like, what is this? And then it seems like once you gather enough knowledge to know that it is at least somewhat true, you could say at first, okay, I'm getting this. This seems true. The true goal, which would be step two, is to turn your attention away from the world back onto yourself in a process known as self-inquiry. It's a meditation-like practice, but instead of meditation being where you're focusing on your mind, trying to calm, manipulate your mind in a positive way, or breath work, or chanting, or anything like that, you're turning your attention away from your mind and your breath work and chanting back onto yourself. So it's a tad more profound.
Yeah.
It's really going to the core of the matter, of the problem, and the ego is the problem, and you're trying to get underneath that ego to root it out. And
Oh,
so those are the two steps. It's like an intellectual knowing, and then turning within to experience that knowledge directly as yourself.
oh, I love that. I love that. Getting out of the out there and everything happening, focusing on yourself. So would you say that how does loving yourself come into play here? Giving yourself love and kindness and not criticism.
Because when you turn within and you experience what I'm pointing to here, even for a moment, a second, that you'll realize that you are the happiness you seek and you fall in love with that happiness. Yourself is happiness. So you're falling in love with knowing yourself, which generates happiness. So there's almost like a love happiness cycle happening. I love to know myself because knowing myself generates happiness. Therefore, I love to know myself because it generates happiness. And you could say it's in this love happiness loop that you just fall in love with that. You long for that. So you might be at work or you might be, shopping and you're thinking, gosh, when I get home, I get to go hang out with myself because that is the most peaceful place I've ever experienced.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Oh my goodness. And, would you say in that loving yourself is also giving yourself things that you enjoy and, you know, um, just things that make you happy?
Happiness is only experienced from within.
From
There's
within?
nothing in the world, there's no object that contains an experience of
Oh,
happiness that you then add to yourself.
yeah,
That's the misperception,
gotcha.
right? We think that, we get a new car. We're happy, we got a new car. But eventually that new car sensation wears off and we're off trying to find the next new car,
Yeah.
right? And so we go through what is known as samsara, these ups and downs of happiness and unhappiness. I have a new car, the new car wore off. I went to go, you know, travel. Hey, the traveling's
Yeah.
over. Anything like this, it ends that cycle of suffering.
So what then how does it work for, like, for example, myself? I love my favorite music. I love, dancing to my favorite music, listening to it.
Mhm.
So does that work in the happiness, in the cycle of, I mean, or is that ego, or I mean, is it good to treat ourselves to those kind of things?
Life is treating itself to itself. So when you come in line with things like you just mentioned, dancing, singing,
Hmm.
and you are experiencing the joy out of that, that means you're in line with your reality. There's no resistance to you when you're dancing and singing. That's the sign that you're in line with what you're supposed to be doing at that moment.
Oh my goodness. Wow, that is fascinating.
Yes, it is.
How cool. How cool. Oh my gosh. Scott, what triggered you to write this fantastic book? And you've obviously, love all of this, and you have so much wisdom. What triggered you to write this book and give that to us?
There's two main reasons. One was to show my love and gratitude for the sages and the teachers and the culture that provided this knowledge that set me free from my egoic suffering so that I can experience life peacefully again. And the main reason I wrote it is for the reader so that they can hear a bit about my story. And then the rest of the book is all about trying to point you to this message of yourself. Because self it's infinite, it's not a thing. You can't articulate it so clearly in words, or videos or podcasts to where the reader can get it. What the book is feverishly doing is trying to get you to draw your attention back to the source of yourself. And I do that through a multiplicity of examples and stories and questions and metaphors and practices and exercises. The book is literally just feverishly trying to get you to turn your attention within to experience the joy that the book says you will experience when you know yourself.
And that really does, how you worded it, put us in the awe of life.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, yourself is nothing but profound awe. You are awness itself. You are profound. You're something that can't be described in words. You're way bigger than that. I like to say it's the finite mind. Your mind is finite, and it's trying to get its finite arms around the infinite to know the infinite and label the infinite and call it its own. But it can't do that because it's finite. So what the ego does, it says, then it doesn't have any value. Yourself, your being, your awareness has no value because I can't know it. Yet, when you turn within, you realize it's everything.
I love it. That is so fantastic. We have just a couple minutes left, Scott. Please share any information, like website or anything you want to share. And what last message do you want to give us today?
Yeah, so people can reach out to me on my website, loveoutpouring.com, and they can sign up for free one-on-one non-duality sessions with me where I do exactly this, just one-on-one. And I meet people where they are along the path and try and pick them up there and help them move forward. I've got over 250 videos on YouTube where the channel is at Love Outpouring. My final message would be that we perceive the world as we experience ourselves. So if we experience ourselves as a limited, contracted person who's contained in this body, then when we peer out, everything else will be objects separate from us. Hence the term separation. And separation is what leads to suffering. It's what generates the sense of lack because I'm over here and everything else is out there. But if you experience yourself from the oneness of yourself, then when you peer out in the world, because there's only one, you're peering out onto yourself. And there's no separation there. There's only unity. And in that unity, peace is experienced, contentment, wholeness, fulfillment, satisfaction is contained in that one experience of yourself.
Oh, that is that is so beautiful. And boy, such a powerful message, Scott. I am just so grateful to have met you and read your great book, Love Outpouring. And that's a perfect title because, the love is there and the love is inside us. We are
Yes.
it. We are already there, aren't we? That is something to
Yeah.
celebrate.
Yeah, the outpouring comes from when you realize this, you'll get tears of joy. You'll get moments of just profound awe. You can laugh out loud because you're like, "Oh, I am everything I seek. I
Oh,
am it."
I love it. I love it. That is so fantastic. Oh, this has been so great. Everyone out there, thank you for joining us today. Love, hugs, and blessings. Scott, such an honor to have you on the show. Love, hugs, and blessings. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you, Paula. I appreciate you and being on. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.